Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Mike Francesa podcast on the Bet Rivers Network, brought to you by Casamigos Tequila. Casamigos Tequila is brought to you by those who drink it. We come to you late this evening, on the Mike Francesa channel, on the Bet Rivers Network, on YouTube. And, hey, everybody waited for what was a very, very special Sunday night, and it turned into an absolute nightmare, okay? It happens, but just a brutal night all the way around. Let me touch on the football giants first, then we'll get to the Mets and the Dodgers. The Giants went into this game against a Cincinnati team which has been very poor defensively, which was in desperate need of a win, which obviously has a quarterback and some superb receivers, and still a little bit of a winning culture, although that is dissipating quickly. But for them to win this game in prime time, at home, which is such a chore for New York teams to do. I mean, their record in these games is so bad. They were going to have to make this an ugly game. The Giants are not equipped, especially with no neighbors, no Singletary. And just because they're the Giants and they have so much trouble scoring touchdowns, especially at home, despite the fact they were coming off a good performance against Seattle, the Giants knew they were going to have to make this an ugly game and somehow keep Cincinnati down. They did that. The Giants played a terrific defensive game. They really gave up 10 points. The last 7 points you put on the side. The game was over. You put up 10 points. You get a broken play for a touchdown. You got a really good performance out of Burns. I thought he was terrific. Out of Lawrence, out of McFadden. They got pressure again, which they continue to do. They did a nice job on what are terrific receivers and a very, very hard to defend quarterback. So their defensive performance was terrific. Their offensive performance was pitiful. All the way around. Number one, they went away from the run too early against Cincinnati. Number two, the kicking game killed them. Listen, you have to have some quality from your kicker. You can't have two misses. Plus, let's be honest, if they had Gano, they would have gone from the tie on what would have been somewhere between a 53 or 54-yard field goal. They would have played that for the tie instead of going on 4th and down. That was the breakup play on Slayton. They would have gone for a field goal. Because 53, 54 has become rote in this league. It's become automatic. Or at least, 9 out of 10. Instead, they can't go. And they go again on 4th down, which they did repeatedly all night. They had targets all night. When you're targeting a guy who's going to be coming out of the backfield or in the slot and is going to be part of your underneath passing game, he shouldn't be targeted 11 times and catch 5. All right, that shouldn't happen. He should be targeted 11 times, catch 9. Number two, they missed opportunities. Jones throwing that interception. All right, I understand he's trying to throw the ball away. Hey, do not use the middle of the field. First of all, he had the back against the blitz. He had the back in the flat. Throw the ball at the back's feet in the flat. Get rid of the ball to an open area quickly. Take the sack. The last thing you do is put the ball up for grabs in the middle of the field. He's got to know better than that. He's got to be better than that. That was just taking points and throwing them away, which the Giants did repeatedly all night. And you're not beating anybody in this league. Anybody scoring 7 points. That's all there is to it. It's not happening. And this turned into just an ugly, terrible loss that could have been a win. And they're not good enough. I know they think they're improving. And you're seeing some things that are positive. The back has done a nice job the last 2 weeks. He looks like he's a player. They've gotten a pass rush quality now that Burns has really picked it up. And Burns got off the slow start. He's really picked it up. They have a legitimate pass rush, a top-of-the-league pass rush. We thought they could. They do. Their defense is solidifying. They played really well defensively tonight. But they have to be better. They have to be better on specials. They have to be better situationally. And they can't throw these games away with both hands. And they continue to do that. 2-4 with the Eagles coming in. And now, in a division that this year is legitimately wide open. Cowboys have all kinds of injuries and got embarrassed today. Washington's, the quarterback is doing a nice job, but let's be honest, and they have some offensive ability, but they're not there yet. And the Eagles have issues. This division is going to get sloppier. I don't think there's any question. But right now are pulling up the bottom again. At 2-4 with the Eagles coming into their building in what becomes an absolutely critical, automatically critical game if you want to have a season. Can't have that season off another loss. So a rough, disappointing, really bad night for the Giants. Another what have might have been game for the Giants. A game that could have been a different game. Now to the Mets, which is the more important game because obviously they are trying to get to a World Series. This city has been feeling so good about the Mets. This Met team has been draped in glory, and rightly so. But let me just say something. This series took a complete turn this evening. The Dodgers are bullies. They're talented, but they're bullies. They were on the verge of being knocked off by the Padres. They didn't just beat the Padres in games 4 and 5. They strangled them. And they turned around tonight and they made it 3 straight dominant, just complete annihilations of their opponent. Putting up the numbers they did tonight offensively, jumping all over Senga as they did in the first inning when he couldn't find the plate. They got a big break. I don't know what Betts is thinking. I mean, he would have scored on one leg, as Freeman did from second base a moment later. I don't know what he was thinking when he didn't tag up. But they get the base hit there, and it's more than enough. And the game's 3-0 by the time you blink, and Senga's out of the game. I don't know if my gut is you won't see Senga again in the series. They'll have to decide whether they use Peterson again in relief or allow him to start later in the series. Let that unfold after these next couple of games are played. This becomes, I think, tomorrow on a quick turnaround with Minaya on the mound becomes without question, an incredibly important game. Not just because it's going to be 2-0. And I've always subscribed to the theory that you're not out of a series until you lose a home game. I've always felt that way. I've always believed in that. But the Dodgers have now put up 33 straight zeros. 33 straight scoreless innings. That's not a couple of innings here. 33 straight scoreless innings. If you're old enough to remember when I was in grammar school, when the Orioles absolutely stunned the heavily favored Dodgers in what turned out to be Sandy's goodbye, but also 3 straight brilliant starting performances and brilliant performances from Bunker and Palmer and McNally in that series. Long time ago. But 33 straight, outscoring your opponent the way they have, pounding their opponent, not even needing the home run ball to do it tonight, and just have these guys come out of the pen for the most part. I understand Flaherty pitched really well tonight. He pitched 7 dominant innings. He established the fastball early and worked everything off that. The Mets went down 9 straight and then really were never in the ballgame. They get annihilated 9-0, 3 hits. And they're going to turn around. That game starts at 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock New York time. That is a quick turnaround. Okay? That game's in a couple hours. And they can't let the Dodgers have another game like that. Do the Mets have to win the game? Well, I want to tell you, if they want to probably win the series, they're going to have to answer tomorrow. Could they possibly win the series from 2 down? Remote chance. Not a very good chance. But more than anything else, the Dodgers, as I said, they're bullies. And they're flexing their muscles now. They were counted out. After 3 games in that series, San Diego was the betting favorite to win the World Series. Not just win that series, but to win the whole thing. And the Dodgers came back. And they didn't just come back. They came back and they put their foot on the Padres' throat. And now tonight against the Mets, they said, hey, Mets, nice what you're doing. All your heroics, all your comebacks, all your home runs, all your, all the things that you've changed about the franchise and turned around, and now the good feeling and the smiling and the happy Mets. You know what? Come here and take some of this. 9-0. 3 hits. That can't happen again. It's got to stop right now. Because they will snowball this thing, and this series will be over before you know what happened. That team has bundles of talent. They don't have great starting pitching, we know that, but they have guys who come out of that pen, even though they lost the key lefty for this series. The bottom line is they have guys who come out of that pen, and they throw hard. And they can beat you. Obviously, at the top, you have an all-time Met killer in Freddie Freeman. You have Mookie, and then you have Ohtani. I mean, let's be honest. We know what kind of team this is. You don't want it to get to the point where it's just flexing its muscles, and that's where they are right now. They are flexing their muscles. And they're saying to baseball, hey, you think we just came along for a joyride this year? Well, have another thought. Now, I'm not bringing the Yankees in and the Yankees rest of this season against the Dodgers and the collision course. I'm not getting into any of that. There'll be apropos time for that because the Mets don't deserve to get dismissed here. But I can tell you this. You can't nobody should for a second overlook what they saw tonight. This was a runaway train. 33 straight scoreless innings. This has got to stop right now. The Mets have the right guy on the mound tomorrow. They have been incredibly resilient. We know they've come from behind. You saw the graphic tonight. Last 4 times Mets have, let the other team get the lead. They've come back and won the game. Well, tonight they didn't have a moment. They didn't have a peep. They got smacked. And the Dodgers, are thinking, hey, we did it to the Padres, we'll do it to the Mets. And they knew, listen, they heard for days, this is not the old Mets. Do not fool with this team and do not dismiss this team. You will do so at your peril. This series opened up with the Dodgers a 2-1 favorite and closed with the Dodgers about a 170 favorite because there was a lot of Met money. And rightly so. The Mets getting a good price as an underdog was a good bet because the Mets have been red hot, and what they've done in the postseason has been extraordinary. And they've dispelled a lot of the Met stuff that has followed them forever. But be careful. This team is now on a serious roll. And it needs to stop right now. Early tomorrow. First couple of innings, Mets need to be on the board. Mets need a lead tomorrow. They don't want to try this from 3 and 4 runs behind tomorrow. Now, like I said, they have the pitcher they'd want on the mound tomorrow in Manaea. I think that's the way you want to attack the Dodgers. I think he's the right guy for it in every way. But be careful about this team because they are a talented group that likes to push people around. And right now, they have gotten hot. Real hot. And it's a time to realize in a short series, when you get whacked like that, the next day is ultra important. And with them on the roll they're on right now, you can't let them come here. And remember, the Dodgers don't treat New York like they treat every other stop in the National League. New York is special for them. It's very important for them. It's a big part of who they are. So it's always more meaningful. And it needs to be taken into consideration. This is now, after what happened this evening, this is a very big game. So the Giants continue to lose home games, continue to just fail to do anything in prime time, and can't score at home. And you're sick of looking. I understand they don't have neighbors tonight. I understand that. But they had opportunities. And they were playing a bad defensive team. And their defense played really well. And again, it comes down to making the plays that have to be made. Making the special teams play that have to be made. Don't make the dumb critical penalty. Convert the fourth and short. If anything, they went away from the running game too early this evening. And Jones has got to make better decisions than that. That was a bad loss. And then the Met loss, to me, was an ominous one. Because the Dodgers, they gained momentum in Game 4. They hit a different gear in Game 5. And they threw it into a real different gear again this evening. You don't want to turn that into a runaway train. That's got to be stopped right now. They got to bring the Dodgers back to earth right now. Otherwise, this could be a very, very tough series. Don't try to play this from an impossible situation. I understand the Mets have had some dramatic comebacks this year. Don't try to make it crazy. Do not decide to tie one hand behind your back before you decide to come forward in the series. They need to make a move now and get this series back on firm footing because the Dodgers did more than just have a good Game 1. They, right now, are an exceedingly confident team that needs to be slowed down. That can happen. It's a quick turnaround. They got the right pitcher on the mound. They've been resilient all year. That's fine. They find a way to, get a 5-4 win tomorrow, or a 5-3 win tomorrow, and come home 1-1. Did their job. But be careful, because this team has now gotten hot. Yankees open tomorrow against Cleveland. The Yankees have been established as better than a 2-1 favorite. They deserve to be that. They were better than a 2-1 favorite against Kansas City. They should have been even a bigger favorite against Kansas City, because Kansas City struggled mightily with their offense the last month of the season. Cleveland's better than Kansas City. Cleveland's bullpen, and I understand their bullpen got touched up a little bit at times by Detroit. But Cleveland's bullpen is good, and they got a couple of guys in their lineup who can get the job done. And they have a tremendous player in Ramirez. They're a better team than Kansas City right now. But this should be the Yankees series. Yankees are going to meet a very worthy opponent in the World Series, no matter who it is. They are going to be in against a team that can clearly beat them in the World Series. They should beat Cleveland. Not getting to the World Series would be a bitter disappointment for the Bombers. Bitter. We got so much going on tomorrow. Mets, Yankees, Jets, and Buffalo in an enormously big game. So much going on that I just can't even get time to give you my thoughts on the Knicks. I haven't even given you my breakdown of that trade yet. Obviously, we know what went on with Dante and how he feels about things. Not surprising. Nobody who saw or experienced what they did last year wanted to see the Nova group broken up. And the Knicks, to their credit, did not want to break the Nova group up. They did not. They couldn't make the trade without putting him in it. And they made it. You can understand him having hard feelings about it. But like I said, there's too much going on to get to that right now. We'll get to it later. We'll have a day where we can get to that. But right now, Jets in Buffalo, a lot to talk about tomorrow. Yankees in Game 1, a lot to talk about tomorrow. Mets and Dodgers in what I think is a unusually critical Game 2. Because the Dodgers are really flexing their muscles right now. We'll talk to you tomorrow.